time. I don't know how to delete the other live video that is still going on. It's so weird. But either way, YouTube had some major technical difficulties, and I am ready to go at the topic of hand for today. So, most likely, or hopefully, y'all are able to see that this is a different live. If not, it'll be uploaded either way. And I also wanted this to be a Q&A, so seeing that there are people still on the other live, even though the other live is like super weird and creepy, fingers crossed, or I trust that people will see that this one is live and will come here too. If not, we can save a Q&A for another time, but that was so weird. If you see the live, you'll see that it's like a round of my voices, like of the sentences I said beforehand, and it was very, to me, it's hilarious, but here I am being as tech savvy as I can be. But yes, hello there. Happy Tuesday, wherever you are in the world. It is a gloriously gloomy, as I said in the other video, gloriously gloomy day here in Baltimore. It rained and it was going to storm, but now it's clearing up, even though I would love to see some lightning right now. It did yesterday, so I can't complain. Yes, so how are you doing today? I would love to know. Let me know down in the comments. And any questions you may have, anything that resonates with you with what I'm saying, or if you're also an Addams Family fan, let me know down in the comments below and I'll get to your comments after the topic at hand. So today I wanted to go over what Morticia Addams of the Addams Family franchise has taught me about dark and light femininity. And that is something that not a lot of people really consider when it comes to Morticia, because Morticia is so feminine. And when I talk about femininity, I mean that energy, not just because she wears makeup and has a dress on. She just oozes and exudes feminine energy. Things that are representative as the human woman or human female, whatever you want to call it. She just has all the qualities and then some. And I want to go over that today because she is someone who truly inspires me. Her, Vampira, Elvira, and really Akasha from the vampire movies, the one with Aaliyah. Even though I've never seen it before, I know, weird. As a vampirist, you would assume I would have seen it by now. But those are basically my muses. Those are women who I look at and I don't necessarily want to be, but I love their embodiment. I love how they are. I just love how they express themselves in such a divinely feminine way and being very authentic to boot. So yes, let's talk about that. So let me go over my first thing when it comes to Morticia. So before I get into the dark and the light feminine aspect of things, dark meaning the unseen aspect of things, meaning your boundaries, your sensuality, the parts of you that are not expressed to the world, your emotions, your fears, your memories, your doubts, your self-talk, all those types of things, everything lurking underneath the surface that you may not even be aware of. And then light femininity is the mask. It is what you show the world. It's like it's almost as if you want to see the dark and the light aspect of things, which is with everything really. It is on a spectrum, as everything is, law of polarity. And it is on a spectrum, light on one side, dark on the other side. And of course, you go on the spectrum wherever you see fit, wherever feels right for you. So if you are in a certain situation in the moment and you decide you want to express your boundaries, you're going to go more on the dark side or any type of thing like that. If you are somebody who wants to use more of your manners or anything like that, you're probably going to go more closer to your light feminine side. Your light feminine is, once again, the mask, what you show the world. If you want to see it when in a planetary type of way, the dark side is your moon, is the moon, and the light side is the sun. The sun is blaring, it is blatant. You can't escape it. That is your appearance, that is the mask, that is what you show people and show the world. Your physical expression. And the dark aspect of things, the moon only comes out at night. You're not going to always be able to see it. Like how there is a new moon, basically today, there's a new moon tomorrow in Leo, and that's going to be very exciting as well. More about that later. But it's very similar in those types of aspects. You're not always going to see the moon. You don't really notice the effects of the moon because it's a very emotional internal thing. So, yes, it's definitely like that. So, think of your light feminine energy like your sun, not even your sun sign, but like maybe your rising sign, your ascendant, and the dark feminine side as your moon, the hidden, the unseen, the emotional aspect, things that you can feel but not necessarily see or touch. So, the first thing I want to say before I get into the dark and light aspect of Morticia, first of all, with the family in general, I'm a huge Addams Family fan. I am an Addams Family ologist. I love the old sitcom. I love the 90s movies. I want to get more into the old cartoons from the 90s and just the comic strip back in the 30s because it was created in the 30s. And even the Wednesday show, I haven't really watched Wednesday on Netflix, the one that was really, really popping last November. I haven't watched much of that. I know it's cool. I know it's cool. I'm not going to be judgy. I rebuke the spirit of being judgy because I want things to be exactly how it used to be, especially when it comes to the sitcoms and the 90s movies. But it was cool. I saw a few episodes and I thought it was nice. Jenna Ortega, who played Wednesday, was very good. She was very dark, creepy, eerie, cold, sarcastic, just like Wednesday. So who can complain? And thank you for your patience as I hydrate myself. It is once again August, so y'all don't have to. I don't have to explain. Gotta hydrate before you dehydrate. So when it comes to the overall aspect of the Addams family, before I get into the dark and light, feminine type stuff, I just have to say, Addams family, the whole family reminds you to be in the moment. It reminds you to be in the moment. It reminds you to do what you enjoy. It reminds you to be in your own little world. It reminds you that family or your guardians or your loved ones, whoever your chosen family, whoever you consider family, they are your world. They are everyone you should really surround yourself with. Of course, your outer world has to be just as healthy and fun and dynamic, and you have to be responsible with it. You have to make sure that you're doing what you need to do to make sure that you are safe, secure, and not in any danger or trouble. And that's going to be hard, that you don't, not everyone's in danger or in trouble or in a situation where they need a lot of help. But the Addams family in general shows you that family is so important, or your chosen family, your loved ones. Family is important. Being in your own little world is amazing because think about it. They had their own inner world. Of course, they were individuals. Morticia, Gomez, Wednesday, Pugsley, Lurch, It, Thing, Uncle Fester, Grandmama. They were all individuals and they all did their own thing. However, they were such a family unit. They spent so much time with each other. They enjoyed each other. They relished with each other. They poured out their emotions to each other. They confided in each other. They were family. Of course they were a family, but they were almost like friends. They were more than family. They were just it was from the heart, it was from the soul. And that's what I really love about the Addams family more so than anything else is the family aspect. Because I'm very grateful that I have family members that I truly enjoy and love. I can't even think of one that I don't really like or anything like that. And it makes me so grateful and appreciative and feel so incredibly blessed that I have family members that I'm not going to be as involved with them as the Addams family, the family members in general, are with each other. However, it's so exciting and it's so refreshing to see a family unit be so involved with each other and be so close and loving and caring. And you admire that. You admire the family being so together. And so, yeah, once again, being in your own little world, I love that. Because as I like to always say, we are our own individual universe. Of course, the outside aspect, the social wellness, I'm all about the holistic aspect of things as a holistic lifestyle coach. So, there's the social, there's the sexual, there's the environmental, there is the mental, physical, emotional, all those types of things. But when it comes to the social, they weren't as well versed on that for obvious reasons because they're creepy and they're spooky. They're altogether ooky. So people avoided them. People were scared of them, but they didn't care. They did not care because they were in their own little world. That's something that I want to talk more about with not only my clients, but with you all, because in that, you're romanticizing your life. You are creating fun and enjoyment and bliss and passion and purpose in every step of the way that you do in your day. You're not just going about your day and just like, I have to do this, I have to do that. This is boring. This sucks. I don't want to be here right now. I want to zone out. I want to disassociate. No, be here now. And that's why the Addams family is so amazing because they were always in the moment. They were here enjoying themselves, enjoying each other, enjoying their crafts, enjoying their food, enjoying their just being in their own little head and being in their own little world. And that is something that I build to this day. I'm still perfecting that within my own lifestyle. Because as a lifestyle coach, I have to make sure my lifestyle is good too. It's not something I just teach, I am the embodiment of my work. So I call my world, I'm going to say this to y'all right now. Let me know if this resonates with you all, if you're in your own little world as well, or if anything else I'm saying resonates with you as well. I'll get to that at the end of the video. But I stay in my own little world, and I call my little world Le Monde du Macabre Magnifique. And that was very much so inspired by the sitcom, the 60s version of the Addams Family. Not because of what they said, but because of the French aspect. It's very romantic, it's very luxurious, it just feels sensual and sexy. And when I think of that title of my world, my own little world, basically my inner world, my thoughts, my feelings, my passions, whatever I want to express and all those types of things. When I came up with that name, it reminded me of Morticia in the way where I'm just being myself. I'm being the witchy, gothy, metal, femme fatale, regardless of labels, I'm being myself, and that's how it feels. That's the best way to describe my own internal little world. Because what is most important to me, just like the Addams family, is my family, my loved ones, my health, my passions, my purpose, my hobbies, my career, which is basically my passions if you think about it, my just anything that lights me up inside, and everything that keeps me in flow, everything that keeps me in the moment, everything that keeps me feeling happy and blissful and peaceful and calm in this world, because we see the world around us and we see it as reality. Okay, yes, that is collective reality, but we all see everything differently. Law of relativity. We see everything differently. No one, even twins, even triplets, even septuplets, even octuplets, don't see the world the same way as we do internally. Even if you have and actually, it's almost impossible. It is impossible to clone somebody entirely. Of course, we're in a day and age where you can do anything, so I'm not going to dispute that. But you can't even clone people and have them see the world the same way as you. Isn't that amazing? We are our own individual, unique universe, and it should be played with and engaged with and set up for success. And success not even meaning like money or fame or anything like that, but success by being truly, genuinely happy, ecstatic, blissful, having a life you truly enjoy. And that's why I always talk about romanticizing your life, because it's more than just being whimsical and fantastical and just like lighting up sage or taking a bubble bath, things that we would consider for the light feminine. It is making your world an amazing place to be in. Why not do that? Why not set up your world for success and personal success, whatever that looks like for you? So, yes, that's why I love the Addams family, because one of the biggest things I love about them, other than the fact that they are a very close, cohesive family, that they are so present and in the moment, but they are in their own little world that no one else can disturb. If you've noticed, no one can tell them anything. They're so weird and strange, and they creep people out with their artifacts in their home, their demeanor, their clothing, how they just how they look, their appearance freaks people out, but they don't care. It's almost as if the comments blow right past them because they either see it as a compliment, They're probably too, not, I don't want to say naive, but oblivious to see it as an insult, or they don't care because they truly enjoy themselves. They truly enjoy how they look. They truly love their passions. They truly love each other. They truly love their own internal world. So that's, I'm going to put that aside. That is the first thing I wanted to say about this whole thing. And then I want to go right into the dark and light femininity that has been so inspired by me from Morticia Addams. So let me get one more sip. Yes. So let me start with the light side, the light feminine aspect of Morticia that so inspires me and has really refined, defined, and motivated motivated me on my journey, my feminine energy journey that I began last May of 2022, that I'm still on now and figuring things out. It has so inspired me by Morticia is her grace, her manners, her etiquette, her class, her nurturing as a mother, her just outward beauty, the makeup she wears, her form-fitting outfits, which really could go into dark femininity too. I'll get to that soon. But that is what I mean by light feminine energy, is the appearance of it all, how she is viewed by the world, the perspective that others might see her as, the mask that she shows the world. And number one, being the most light of femininity of all, is the mothering aspect. She's so nurturing. Do you see how she treats Pugsley and Wednesday? Even how she treats Thing. And this is not only just in the 90s movies. I suggest that we all watch every part of it. We watch the 90s movies, we watch the 60s sitcom, and we even probably watch the newest stuff. Why not? I don't want to be a snob. I used to be somebody in my past life where I would be like, oh, that's not the original version of it, so it is whack. Oh no, don't bring that over here. Not for me. No. New things can be cool too. New generations of things can be cool too. We just have to give it a chance. And even though I'm not completely feeling a lot of them, doesn't mean anything. They still are very Addams family. And it's just a modern version of it. And not all modern versions of things suck. So just putting that out there. But yes, she is so nurturing in all of the franchise, in every single one of the franchise of the Addams family. She's always been very sweet, very kind, very understanding, very open-minded, very welcoming. She just allows Pugsley and Wednesday to just to be themselves, to be reckless, to be dangerous, to be a threat to themselves and to other people. And she almost encourages their violence. She almost encourages their darkness. And they love her for it. They absolutely love her for it. And you love her for it. Because everyone can aspire to be a mother like her. And I'm not a mother, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what it is like to be a mother, the struggles that go along with it, the issues, the concerns, the stress behind it all. I commend all mothers and however they decide to express that and raise their own children. I'm not here to give people a manual or a guideline of how to be a mother. How would I know? However, if I could be a mother, if I were ever deciding to be a mother, if I wanted to be a mother, Morticia would be once again my muse for that, because she is so amazing at it. It's so effortless for her. She just, especially when Pubert, her newest addition to the family, in the last Addams Family movie, Addams Family Values, that came out I believe in '93. One of my favorites. I love both the '90s movies, but that I can't tell which one is my favorite. But in that one, Pubert, their new baby boy, she never breaks a sweat. She was, of course, stressed later on in the movie because of the fact that Pugsley and Wednesday were basically trying to murder Pubert, their own baby brother, basically because they were jealous. I mean, when you have a new baby in the family, I can't blame them for feeling that way. And once they get out there, remember that they're characters in a movie, so don't want to personify them too much. However, that's very human. That's very relatable. That when a new baby comes, you're probably stressed. But Morticia wasn't. Her kids were about to kill that new baby. And she was not breaking a sweat. It was almost as if she trusted that everything would work out, even though that later on in the movie things went awry. But even though she shed a few tears, even though she was very concerned, she still kept that grace, that elegant demeanor. She always has her manners. She's always very mannerable. She uses, I don't want to say that anyone who doesn't use proper English is a bad person or not about that life or whatever, but she's sophisticated in that way where she uses proper diction. She uses sometimes old-timey language, almost like in a Victorian, like witchy, excuse me, type of way. And I love that about her. And as somebody who was raised with an English teacher mother, my mom growing up was an English teacher for children. She taught special education, she taught younger students from kindergarten all the way up to, I believe, third grade. So my mom pretty much was my own teacher growing up. She instilled within me and my sister to use proper diction, to use words in full sentences. But as a Black family growing up, especially in a low middle class blue collar area, of course we wanted to use slang and we wanted to be really lax with our language. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. I still do when I feel like it's necessary. There's a time and a place for everything. But for the most part, I do like to use proper diction. I do like to have a great demeanor about the not the energy behind my words, but what I'm saying, being very mindful, conscious, and aware of what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, the volume in which I'm saying it, the timbre in which I'm saying it, the energy behind it, making sure that the emotions are lining up with what I'm saying, making sure that I am talking very smoothly, calmly, in a way that is listenable. And Morticia is perfect for that, no matter the generation of Morticias, because her voice is always soothing, low, feminine, dainty, light, airy, soothing, smooth, sensual. We'll get to that part when it comes to the dark side of femininity. So, yes, when it comes to her light side, once again, her appearance to the world is very feminine in the way where she is nurturing and mothering. She is very into etiquette and making sure that she is using her words wisely. She is very lean back in her demeanor with things, and she just doesn't even like lift a finger sometimes. She knows that Gomez got her back, she knows that Lurch has got her back, she knows that she can just lean back and relax, that things are coming to her. And that could also go into the dark feminine aspect of things, that trust, that faith aspect. But for Morticia, it is a lot of her personality. It's the air she comes off as. She just comes off as so relaxed, so calm, so dreamy, so dreary. She doesn't really have to, once again, lift a finger. She knows that she will get the job done, she'll do what she gotta do, and she'll be loved for it no matter what. And I believe that's mostly what it comes down to it. And on top of that, her beauty. She always wore an amazing long. This is the type of dress that is like my dream, y'all. Like, this is the type of dress that I always want to have. I have a dress like it that I need to get tailored, and I want multiple versions of that. And her appearance being the long, sexy dress, the mermaid style dress, in the 90s movies, but in the sitcom in the 60s, she had one that was like tapered all the way down to her feet and had tentacles dragging on the bottom on the floor, which I thought is a great divine touch. Something that she likes to say in the 60s sitcom. I love when she says stuff like that. And once again, it's a divine touch because it is witchy, it is spooky, it is dark, but there's something still very sexy and sensual and not even just witchy, but sinister about it, dangerous about it. You want to know more. You want to know what's going on in her head. You want to know why she decided to dress so ghoulishly. It doesn't matter though, because she looks fantastic in it, marvelous in it, divine in it. So, yes, once again, going back to the light feminine aspect, her beauty was jaw dropping, enticing, intoxicating. So, going over to the dark aspect of the feminine spectrum that Morticia has so inspired me on and can inspire anybody really, let's start with her sensuality. We just talked about her dress. We can even go back to that. It accentuated her curves. She was not scared to let it show. She wanted people to see. It was form fitting. It was usually kind of like a cloth, cotton, or velvet material, which comes into the sensual aspect of it. It just looked comfortable. It looked uncomfortable at the same time because of how tight it was. But I don't even want to call it tight. It is form fitting. It fit her perfectly like a glove, and it made her look marvelous. And because of that, she knew that. And even that, with her wiggling, oh, I love it. I'm actually wearing a kind of like a wiggle skirt myself. I'm wearing a flutter skirt because you already know I'm really into that vintage pin-up-y femme fatale look from old Hollywood glamour. And I like to mix it up with my own thing, my own gothy, metally, dark, whatever, witchy thing. Just doing my own thing. And Morticia is very, very reminiscent of that. There is something very femme fatale about her. If you've noticed in the 90s movies of Morticia, her light is always shined in a certain way. There's always a certain type of lighting that is shined upon her. And it is on purpose to give her more of that old Hollywood glamour look from the femme fatales back in film noir. And I love film noir, the film noir days. I love film noir horror movies. I love all those types of things. It's still very spooky and amazing. But they purposefully did that to her face in the 90s movies to give her that vibe, that film noir vibe. Because when Morticia was written, she was the femme fatale. That's why she's so sexy and sensual and just, oh, it just, she reminds me of like a burlesque dancer, but like the most calm, not as flashy, even though she was definitely flashy, burlesque dancer, which I love. You already know I do burlesque. But she had that vintage old Hollywood glamour, sexy, sensual vibe going on that is so timeless, that is so classic, that is so feminine and queen-like and goddess-like. And I will always love that about her. I can't say that she was the one that inspired me to really vintage up my look. I have changed up my look probably within the last year or so from whatever it was not even really thought about before then. It was just anything gothy or witchy that I thought of. But within the last year I started becoming more vintage with it, more pinup with it, more femme fatale with it, more 40s 50s 60s with it. And I wouldn't be surprised if Morticia had a lot to do with that. I've always had that deep inside of me, that rockabilly, psychobilly, gothabilly aspect of me. I've always been really gothabilly-ish, but I never knew how to express it. But once I started working on my feminine energy, uh, my deep, like dark feminine energy, that's when it all came out. That's when it was made clear to me how I could express that within myself. Because I always did psychobilly stuff back in high school. But I just, once again, didn't dig deep enough to know how I could express it. And once I went on that journey, it has been made clear to me now. And something I like to talk more about on when it comes to not only feminine energy, but the dark feminine aspect of things is in my Divinity Within Darkness coven that meets every 2 Wednesdays on my website. It is a membership on my website where we just like to be a great mastermind of witchy women and femmes who want to expand, grow, elevate, and just be their best selves. I like to always go over certain topics such as these to ascend. Help us ascend to the top tier version of ourselves while we are doing our inner work. We are tending to our lifestyle practices, making sure that we are adding holistic lifestyle techniques into our lifestyle, our regimens, and just chopping it up and having a good time. So yes, if you're interested in that, you can definitely check it out at thesoulfulveganista.com/book-online, or just look on thesoulfulveganista.com. I would love to see you there. And going back to the dark feminine aspect of Morticia, once again, she was so like, into that femme fatale thing, like being very like sensual, and you can just tell that she was feeling herself. And that comes from your internal work. She obviously had that internal confidence. She obviously was talked up by Gomez because can't nobody tell her nothing because Gomez will always be her biggest cheerleader. Gomez always hypes her up. He was always making her feel beautiful. He's always making her feel like the most sublime creature on earth. I'm just going to be spitting all types of references from the Addams family. I don't care. I don't care. But yes, she knows she's beautiful. She doesn't even need Gomez to let her know what's up. Even though it is a beautiful thing, and I love that for her. I love that for me. I luckily have that within my life. I have my own Gomez, and but more in a metal way, which I'm grateful for. I love that. But yeah, she knows that she's beautiful. All her inner work, whatever she's done with herself, all the darkness that she embraces, it can come from that as well. We never know because she's not real, but we can all embody that type of confidence, that type of femme fatale knowing, that knowing of like, look, thank you, I appreciate your compliments, but I know what I look like. You know, I know who I am, I know what I'm about, and you can just sit there and admire me. You can just sit there from afar, you know, or if I trust you or love you, you can come up closer, but you can observe me as the wonderful goddess I am. And that is the vibe, that is the energy that Morticia brings to the table every time. Just by looking at her, you can get that vibe. And I am absolutely in love with it, which is one of the reasons why she is my biggest muse. For me, she represents the light aspect, the light feminine aspect of things in my life when it comes to my world. As I mentioned earlier, Le Monde du Macabre Magnifique, and Elvira represents the dark side in a lot of ways, and Vampira represents a lot of the other things. But when I see Morticia, of course, I see the light side of her mostly. But we cannot forget that dark feminine aspect. And it really does start with her confidence because she knows what she's about. She knows what she looks like. She knows who she is, and can't nobody tell her anything. I love it. And I trust you are hydrating along with me, my lovely darklings. But yes, moving on. So we covered the fact that she is sexy as hell, that she is super sensual, not only with her appearance, but just the way she moves in her. I would say let's do the 90s one. In the 90s movies, she has that form-fitting mermaid style dress, which I absolutely love. And she does that wiggling, that little wiggle that she does when it comes to having vintage type outfits. Once again, I have that type of outfit right now. I'm wearing a flutter skirt where it tapers, luckily it accentuates her curves, but it tapers down and flutters outward, so you have no choice but to like have a dainty little walk. You have no choice but to walk delicately, slowly, and meticulously, very strategically. Because especially if you're wearing heels, you have to make sure that you are wearing something. You have to have a certain type of attitude and energy to do those things because it is not easy. You have to be very dedicated, but it's so much fun. I love dressing this way. I love being having that dark goth pinup, that dark goth femme fatale look because it it's not only giving you that vintage, classic, timeless type of look from the old Hollywood glamour, which I love. It is just there's just an air of, once again, confidence, boundaries, goddess energy, just beauty that comes along with that. And Morticia does it the best. She does it the best. But yes, we went over the sensualness, her sexy, being sexy as a AF, and her boundaries. So Morticia, as somebody, as we talked about earlier about her light feminine side, she has boundaries. If you watch the 60s sitcom, it'll be very clear. And even in the 90s movies, I'll explain that part later, but let's going to the 60s sitcom. Morticia, although she didn't have very many triggers or very many anxieties or very many instances where she had to really step up to the plate and defend herself, because she probably had Lurch around. Gomez was probably, behind her, being that masculine protector provider that he really, really is. Which I might even make a video about how Gomez, in his own way, has a lot of divine masculine energy. There's a lot of things he's lacking, but I'll probably cover that in a future video because I love myself some Gomez. But she has boundaries, and that is the thing about dark feminine energy, is that that is something you don't see, and that is not even something you always have to say. I'll get to that in a second. So in the 60s sitcom, Morticia would let you know what's up. There was one instance where there was a man who was flirting with her, and he was taking her femininity for almost like as if he saw it as flirting. But she wasn't flirting. She was simply just beautiful and being there. He, oh, I want to tell you the whole thing, but it's like a long story. But either way, he came to her house. He was trying to be a suitor, and she let him know right then and there, like, sir, I do not appreciate what you're doing. I believe, what did she say? Because I'm literally in the process of watching it over again. I've watched it so many times. She says, I believe you are abusing my hospitality. That's what she said. She was like, sir, I believe you are abusing my hospitality. And things like that, just that energy of, she doesn't have to cuss, she doesn't have to get loud. Sometimes you do. We are still animals. I like to always talk about how we should be more spirit and less dense, like being less dense as a human, but we are still humans. We still have to protect ourselves. We're not being chased by lions every day, so we have to differentiate what is a threat and what is not. However, she let him know. She wasn't trying to be too nice. She wasn't trying to be too kind, because that's the thing about dark feminine energy. Of course, with our light side, we want to be kind and nurturing and compassionate and warm and sweet and all those types of things, which is great. We can still be that. We can be that dark and all the same at the same time. It just depends on where the moment requires for us. But Morticia, she knows where she lies on the spectrum at any moment in time, because even though she was sweet to this man mere minutes before, very shortly after that, she let him know, back up, basically, in her own sophisticated way of elegant way of speaking, back up. You're too close, man. You're too close. And so I love that. And going to the 90s movies, her boundaries. In the first one, the Addams family reunion, where Fester was reunited with everybody. I love that one too. I can't, once again, can't tell which one's my fave. I just love them all. But in that one, towards the end, they lost their house. There was a trick pulled on them, which I'm sure a lot of you already know. There was a trick pulled on them. They were deceived. They were bamboozled out of their wonderful, glorious mansion, their creepy, spooky mansion. They were bamboozled out of it and had to live life in a hotel. They didn't know where to go. They didn't know what to do. They never worked before because Gomez is just rich for some reason. We never know why he's rich. He just is. And so they were living in a hotel, roughing it, DIYing it, not enjoying it, because they were out in the real world. They had to interact with the outer world because they were so focused on their inner world. So they were out in the outer world doing what they had to do, not having money, having to find work. So Morticia, even though with her light side, she is very leaned back. She is very soft, very gentle, very delicate, which I love. And not all people represent their femininity in that way, but she does, and even me to a certain extent. And she's just very soft and graceful, and she leans back and she doesn't have to lift a finger. She doesn't work. She went out there, regardless of her feminine energy, her softness, her delicateness, her delicacy. I guess that's the right word to use it. Despite all those things, she went out and was looking for a job. She went out there and she saw that her family was crumbling. Everybody was miserable. Everyone had to scrape by to make ends meet so they could get back on their feet. She saw that Gomez was on the verge of depression. He was on the verge of losing his mind because of not only losing his brother, well, it really is his brother, but he didn't know that at the time, really. Losing his brother, but being swindled out of his own home, his own world by his brother. And he was on the verge of losing his mind. He was having a mental breakdown. Morticia was the glue that held everyone together at the moment. She was the rock everyone leaned on in order to get by because everyone was struggling. When Gomez couldn't step up to the plate, you know, once again, with masculine and feminine energy, it is an ebb and flow. You're not always in your masculine energy and you're not always in your feminine energy. You find where the moment requires. In that moment, Gomez needed to grieve. He needed to let out all his grievances, his stuck emotions, his anger, his sadness, his disappointment. He needed to let that out in the moment and being in the feminine. And Morticia, instead of just wallowing in filth, wallowing in the pain too, she saw how her family was in disarray. She saw how her family was crumbling. She saw how Gomez was on the brink of a mental breakdown, and she used that dark feminine energy. She used whatever masculine energy as well inside her to get up, not only find a job, but to confront Fester and the gang of people that were in a part of the hoax, a part of that bamboozlement, a part of that swindling, that con, that scam. She she doesn't even drive. She woke up in the middle of the night to go to her mansion that was in the middle of nowhere, probably on foot, to confront Fester with the fear, not even the fear, with the possibility of being murdered, hurt, her family being hurt or murdered, just her house being blown up, her anything could have happened, but she used all the dark energy inside of her, all that dark feminine energy inside of her to establish that boundary. You may have defeated us once, but you're not going to defeat us again. I am going to stand up for my family, myself, my husband, my children, the principle of it all. I'm going to get this house back, whether you are in my way or not, whether you're going to hurt me or not. That takes such ovaries. That takes such guts. That takes such fearlessness, power, goddess energy in order to do all of that. And she is so amazing for that. And it's inspiring. That's what I mean by the dark feminine boundaries. She obviously expressed some of her boundaries as well, but she didn't have to. And if now in hindsight, she never did. She never said, "Oh, I don't like how you did this to me." She merely knocked on the door. Whoever opened, she said, "I would like to talk to Fester, please." Walked in, head held high, knowing damn well she was going to speak to him whether he was willing to hear her or not. And she knew she was going to get the house back. Excuse me. She was not concerned of her safety. She was only concerned with getting her life back, her inner world back, her family back. And she did that simply by going there and following her intuition and just having the guts to put herself in harm's way to fix everything again. So that's why, like, that's part of that with the dark feminine energy with Morticia. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And once again, you don't have to say your boundaries in order for them to be established. Based on her demeanor, based on the way she carried herself, based on her appearance, based on how she treated herself, how her family treated her, with her head held high. She knew she was a queen. She knew she was a goddess. She knew she was a high priestess, witchy, just high value, high quality, high feminine being. She knew she didn't have to do much. And she was right. She knew she didn't have to tell anyone how to treat her. You knew how to treat her based on what you felt from her, based on how she treated herself. So that's what I mean by boundaries. A lot of us get the wrong idea sometimes. We feel like when we have boundaries, we have to put them on a list and like tattoo them on our head, or we have to put them in our bio on social media, or that we have to make a post about it or blah blah blah. No. People know how to treat you. There are predators out there. There are people who do try to prey on people who uh, have a certain type of energy. So I'm not going to say that it doesn't matter sometimes what your energy is. However, the power you have within you, the knowing you have within you, the being you have within you, the divinity you have within you, the confidence you have within you will naturally stave off a lot of predators. I'm not a I'm not a therapist, a psychiatrist. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know the textbook of that. But based on my personal experience, the more I tend to my holistic needs, my feminine needs, all of my lifestyle, my inner world, everything, the more I do my inner work, my shadow work, everything that has to do with my inner growth, my expansion, my ascension, the less people mess with me. The less people mess with me, the less people have weird things to say, the less people who come into my field are negative or uh, in the victim mentality or are stuck in a lower type of frequency. I only receive the best because I give myself the best. And this doesn't mean being rich or being extremely wealthy like how the Addams family are. It is simply by treating yourself well, eating well, moving, meditating, being authentic, finding your life's purpose, wanting to just be better, wanting more for yourself, not being stagnant, all those types of things. When you do those things for yourself, it translates through your energy. You are exuding a type of energy that is undeniable. People can feel that. And because of that, the right people will know how to treat you based on that. So, once again, going back to boundaries, like I always said, I made a video about that a couple months ago where you don't have to even say your boundaries or state your boundaries. People can feel them based on how you treat yourself. And for the predators out there, you'll know what to say because you have enough dark feminine energy within you. You know what your boundaries are. All you have to do in the moment, if you feel safe, is to either state them, walk away, or have somebody that makes you feel more safe step in for you. But you'll know what you need to do based on your presence, awareness, and mindfulness and consciousness at the time. So on to my last tip, not I guess you can say tip, my last observation of the dark feminine aspect of Morticia Addams that is so admirable, so inspirational, is her creativity, her artistic side, her authenticity. She is somebody in all aspects you'll see in the sitcom and in the movies from the 90s. She's always knitting. She's always knitting a sweater for one of their weird cousins who have weird limbs or weird anatomy. She is not scared to dance. Her and Gomez are constantly in a state of just dancing and doing the tango and doing Latin dance and salsa dancing and all those types of things. I wouldn't be surprised if in a past life or even whenever she wanted to, she was probably some sort of burlesque dancer because it's so hard to separate old Hollywood glamour, the femme fatale archetype and aesthetic, and just being vintage and dark and witchy from burlesque in a lot of ways. That's probably why I loved burlesque so much, even though I just have a huge passion for it. But just like my passion for burlesque and dancing and working out and eating well and even just doing what I do here with y'all, Morticia had a passion for, moving her body with Gomez. She had a passion for romance with Gomez. I do want to do a video about the romantic side about them in general. That's a whole video in itself. But she was so creative, so artistic, so authentic. She just allowed herself to be at any moment in time. If she wanted to knit, she'd knit. If she wanted to dance, she'd dance. If she wanted to do spells, she'd do spells. If she wanted to play with her kids, she would. She was just always in the moment, very authentic, very listening to her intuition. That's what made her witchy, in my opinion. She was someone that did what she felt like in the moment. And that is pure authenticity right there. She didn't allow herself to be clouded by outside forces, the outside world. She didn't allow herself to be clouded by her fears or anxieties. She didn't allow herself to be clouded even by the opinion of her own family members. She allowed herself to just be. Whatever she felt like doing, she did right then and there. That is true authenticity. And on top of the authentic part of it, she definitely was creative in general. She was able to dress herself up in a beautiful way. She was just able to bring it. Hey, boo. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. But yes, Morticia was where it's at, is basically what I'm saying. So to recap everything, when it comes to the dark and light feminine aspect of Morticia Addams and what makes her so dynamic, what has inspired me greatly along my feminine energy journey this past year and some change. So going over the light side was her nurturing as a mom, her beautiful appearance, her sweetness, because she just felt so delicate and kind and compassionate. And I would also say her elegance and sophistication, and her just having a way with words and just using proper diction and just having etiquette. She was just so classy. And I love that. Because why not? Why not be classy? It I would say that feminine energy in general is the energy of being classy, or the energy of being elegant or sophisticated or high value, all those types of things. I know those are probably buzzwords by now, but what can you do? Words are words. So that's the light feminine aspect, all those beautiful things of her. Once again, the face that she shows the world, and then the dark feminine aspects, the things that's internal, that lies in her internal world, was her boundaries, her getting up and doing what she had to do when her family was crumbling, her letting people know when she's feeling like her boundaries are being crossed, uh, just her not being scared to do what she has to do in order to make sure that she is adding to the greater good of her family. And oh my god, y'all, not to interrupt my own self, but I just saw something that outside of my window that is representative that my guides are with me, because we all have our own signs, and I encourage you to find your own signs of how your guides speak to you. I just saw one of them right now in a diminished way, and I'm very, very happy I saw that. So that means it was meant to be that I'm here with y'all today. So exciting. Okay, back to the dark feminine energy aspect. Her boundaries, her sensuality. She was just always in a state of dancing, just dancing not only with the tango, but there was even something about how she walked that was like dancing. She was just like very, oh, I can't explain it. She was just so like, even her dress, you just wanted to reach out and touch it. She had sequins on it. It was probably velvet. You just knew that her her overall appearance came from that inner confidence that she truly deeply had, which goes to the feminine aspect as well, the dark feminine aspect. Her confidence was unmatched. The woman was confident. She had goddess energy. She was queen-like. She knew her worth. She knew she could just lean back and just be feminine, be taken care of, but also being dynamic, that she was able to create with her own art, be authentic, fulfill her passions, be herself, do whatever inner work she needed to embrace that darkness within and not let it sit deep within her to fester and rot. She loved her darkness, so much so that she wore it on her. You knew how to treat her. You knew what she was all about, even if she was creepy. She was just fantastic. And then once again, going back to the creative, authentic aspect, she did her art and did it well. She was amazing at it. She practiced it. She had enough time and energy to, once again, knit sweaters, to dance, to cook, to do whatever to entertain guests, to do whatever she had to do that made her feel great in the moment. And you can't argue with that. And something I forgot to mention that a lot of people know is that you already know that her and Gomez got down. I don't know about the how YouTube is right now. I'm not even monetized yet, and I'm gonna be very soon though. But y'all know that her and Gomez got down. And that comes down to the dark feminine aspect too. Not only her sensuality of being very sexy and amazing and, wanting to reach out and touch her, and you just knew that she was all put together and gorgeous. She had her red nails, all that type of stuff. And also I just got my nails done the other day, feeling nice and feminine myself. But yeah, you already know They were so affectionate, so romantic, so involved with each other. You know, she threw it down in the bedroom. Like, no doubt about it. And go ahead, sis. I'm not even mad. Do what you gotta do. Because she didn't just do it to please Gomez. She did it because she wanted to. She did it because she knows that there was not only pleasure behind it, but there was something about it that she connected with him through their sex life. And on top of that, there's just something about her that you know that she puts people under a spell. Because, you know, of course, Morticia is also supposed to be a witch. She's supposed to be a witch, femme fatale type character. But she had Gomez under her spell and she used that to her advantage. There is nothing more dark feminine, nothing more witchy, nothing more femme fatale than putting someone under your spell. And she did that and she did that well. So I'm sure that made their sex life even more fantastic and spicy because he was enamored by her. He couldn't get enough of her. And can you? Because I can't. I can't, obviously. I can't. I love her so much. So that is when it comes to, that is all the aspects on the spectrum of the feminine spectrum that Morticia brought to the table. She let us all know she's the the old school and modern inspiration of dark and light femininity, in my opinion. We can all learn lessons from her when it comes to all those types of things because she's light, dark, not, and everything in between. And it's absolutely fantastic. So, yes, I can't wait to make more videos about this because I can't get enough about Addams Family. There is so much more to say about it. And she's just amazing. She's just amazing, and she can let everyone know what that looks like because a lot of us don't know what that looks like these days. A lot of our last feminine type role models, I guess you could say, was really just Melanin Monroe. I was gonna say Melanin Monroe, but okay, that's what Dorothy Dandridge was in a lot of ways. But Dorothy Dandridge being one of them, Marilyn Monroe, those types of old Hollywood glamour celebrities are our last, I would say, inspirations, inspos of femininity. And they don't have to be. We could create, we can be the inspiration of that. And also people like Morticia, people like even Vampira, even Elvira. Elvira has her things. You know, of course you have to be careful because she was really sassy. And she's one of my muses and same as Vampira, but you could definitely learn a lot about femininity from these women and more. It doesn't have to even be the goth ghoul, the glamour ghoul type characters, but it is how you want to express yourself. It is what feels good for you. How do you want to express it? There is no rule book to that. If you want to be somebody who's on the light side, feminine side of being elegant and all nurturing and mothering, and or even the dark side of being sensual and sexy and that authentic side, whatever looks good for you, use those tools that I just mentioned right now, but in your own way. It might not resonate with you on whatever side of the spectrum, but something will, and it'll feel amazing. You'll know based on your intuition and whatever speaks to you internally. My boo says Morticia is life. I keep my dried rose stems atop dried roses on my altar as an ode to Morticia. This is why I love you. This is why I love you, because yes, that is exactly the move, exactly the vibe, exactly the energy I am trying to go for. Trying to, I am. Because that is it. Like, she is so good at just letting you know what is up. Like, how you could be, as especially as a gothling. If you want to be that type, she could be a great blueprint for you to, or a template for you to express yourself on based on what you feel. Because we have to be authentic. We're not here to copy off of somebody else's authenticity or their work or their passion or what they're good at, their talents. You're here to be you, but Morticia and lovely characters just like her can be a great template on how to express yourself in a wonderfully feminine way. And I know I've used her in a lot of ways to figure out what being feminine looks like for me. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, yes, definitely make sure that you're doing what works for you. You're doing what your intuition tells you, what your higher self tells you, because it matters. It truly matters. So, yes, I am going to end it here. It's been almost an hour. But, yes, thank you all for joining me today. I'm very grateful for it. And I will see you in the next live. I want also, let me know what you would like. Like, I want to do lives very often. This is fun. This is so much fun. So I want to do lives very often. So let me know what day or time looks good for you. I know that Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays look really good for me. And I wouldn't mind doing them around 4 p.m. Eastern time. Once again, I'm here in Baltimore, Maryland. So it really works for me. So let me know what works for you in the community tab. Probably within, I'm probably going to make a community tab post very soon. Um, Oh, not answering that. However, yes, and if you want to check out my services as well, be sure to check me out at thesoulveganista.com to book your services with me. Once again, I am a holistic lifestyle coach and tarot reader who wishes to empower your divinity in order for you to elevate from your darkness. So I will talk to you later, my lovely darklings. Much love and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye.